It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome. Hello.
Another Wednesday. How you doing?
I'm fine. Here we are in the desert.
Utah. Southern Utah.
You Southern Utah.
I believe.
All right. It's pretty.
Welcome, everybody. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. A lot to get to. I guess we had a popular show last week.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, just a reminder for the people that are, downloading the podcast and stuff like that. I posted something a couple of days after the show. We have a new procedure now for complaints and compliments as well. Instead of emailing the show, with show specific stuff, like I didn't like what you said about this, or I didn't like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, or thanks for saying something about this.
Right. You can now email Sam the Intern.
Oh, nice.
It's Sam the Intern at internsareus.us.
It's good that he's involved.
Well, I think it's good. I got the idea. Did you ever see Head Office with Judge Reinhold? It's like an old comedy from the 80s. Like Danny DeVito's in it,
right.
Rick Moranis, and
Judge Nelson in his heyday.
Eddie Albert
Right.
is in it. Jane Seymour. But anyway, his first job in this big corporation is like a complaints desk. And I'm like, that's a good thing for the intern. Listen to some complaints and, see how it goes. So if there's anything, worthy of our attention, he'll kick them upstairs. And then we'll deal with them like that.
Right.
Okay.
That's what he should do.
Yeah. So we got a lot. I want to say something right off the bat about Facebook, though, because...
Well, I wanted to ask you, you just said we had a popular show last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently.
How so?
Well, apparently a couple of people didn't like what was said.
Oh, well, so be it.
Yeah. I mean, did I say anything remotely insulting to anyone that you remember?
Well, they're not going to believe me what I say anyway, but not that I recall, no.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what to say about some of this stuff. I mean, people can take things the wrong way anytime they want.
What's insulting to one person is insulting to another.
Yeah, I mean, if I tell you the sky's blue and then you say, well, that's because you're a liberal, I can't talk to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the sky's blue whether you like it or not. I mean, if you want to call me a liberal because I said the sky's blue, then I got nothing to say. Get on with your bad self. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like, hey, look, I call them like I see them. I don't insult people. We don't get personal. We don't talk about stuff that doesn't go on like at the Aki. We don't talk about what goes on in back rooms. We don't talk about off-the-court stuff. Like, we're not going to have a Ray Rice show, are we?
I wasn't planning on it.
Well, I mean, you said you didn't understand this whole Ray Rice thing.
Well,
right?
a little bit. I mean, some of it seems a little ridiculous to me. I mean,
well,
he already got punished for the crime because supposedly, even back when it first happened, they said that there was a video, and the video obviously is not as graphic as it is now, but the video still showed what happened as he's dragging her out. So he got punished for his crime, and then they decided that the public decided that the punishment didn't fit the crime, and they couldn't do anything about it. But now, since there's a new video out there, the NFL has decided, well, we knew we were wrong all along, so we're going to punish him again. It's like double jeopardy to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. The NFL's coming up with their own, parallel legal system, and it needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
because, apparently you can get suspended for taking Adderall twice as long as punching out your girlfriend.
Well, Roger Goodell
that's just wrong.
He gets ripped on for doing too much, going over the top, and then all of a sudden now he's getting ripped on for not doing enough. I mean, you can't win because it's just it's the court of public opinion. You can never do
the
everything
president
right.
of the National Organization of Women is calling for his resignation.
For Goodell's
resignation. Now there's supposedly a new video out that has sound that apparently shows the woman spitting on him. I mean, these people are having quite a fight in this elevator. Yeah. And it ends horribly.
So the whole thing is just confusing to me, just because I'm not saying
it's
nothing should happen to him. I'm just saying that it's like one thing happens, then everything's fine, then all of a sudden now it's bad again, and it's just...
Well, it's damage control. Well, here's the thing. I mean, when the video comes out, would you want this guy on your team? I mean, from a football decision, I would say no.
But they should have made that decision in the beginning.
Well...
And they kept him on the team.
And then right before the show, they say, somebody sent the league the video that they say nobody's seen. So now the league is like, well, we're going to look into that. And it's like, okay, whatever.
But see, I completely
Sam
disagree with that.
Sam the intern's in big trouble. Whoever the NFL has.
They sent him the video already. Yeah. They just didn't want to watch it.
Well, that is
It was actually on TMZ.
Well, that was on Monday, though. They're talking about months ago.
Yeah, months ago.
They're talking
when
about
it first
months
came
ago.
out, there was a TMZ video of him dragging his then fiancée out of the...
The video that came out this week...
actually shows the punch.
Yeah, and apparently what they're saying now is somebody, illegally, sent the video to the league so they could see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's another video with sound.
Right. Well, yeah. So anyway, regardless, it's just confusing to me
it goes on and on and on and on. I mean, we're not that kind of a show.
Right.
We're not, people are yelling at each other on Facebook. And I wanted to say one thing about Facebook that people need to realize. If you post something on Facebook, just assume everyone's going to see it.
Absolutely.
If you have people blocked, don't think that somehow they're not going to see it. Right. Everything you put on Facebook is a billboard on the freeway and a 30-second ad on the local evening news. Everyone sees it. Mm-hmm. So, I think we've been pretty good on this show as far as we can stand by everything we say. If you don't like our opinions or you don't agree with our opinions, that's fine.
Right.
I mean, I don't expect everyone to agree. Right? But we don't get personal. We don't talk about anything that's outside the lines. Mm-hmm. Right? We're not a gossip show. We're
just trying to talk about darts and dart tournaments. We're not talking about what happens outside of them.
Yeah, and some of the things that are getting posted on Facebook now are very, very personal. And, we don't want to go anywhere near that. Right? I mean, somebody's unhappy. Apparently I said that Larry Butler played in England instead of saying he played in Germany because they had that World Cup of Darts thing. That was in Germany. Okay. Sorry. Got that wrong. Somebody said that I didn't
but that offends people?
Hey, people can be offended by anything.
Actually, the best thing about that is
I can't.
If they're listening to the show instead, it's a little type.
Hey, look.
All you have to do is say, "Hey, by the way, that was in Germany," and we would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was in Germany." What's
I can understand people disagreeing. Yeah. I really can. And if you want to, not Larry, but anybody else can come on the show and kind of we give people airtime. They don't want to come on. Don't come on. The rumor is, kind of what the scamps around the campfire basically say is if you come on the show, I'll twist your words and, whatever. It's like, hey, don't come on the show then. Want to send an email? Send an email. I'll read it verbatim if it's appropriate. Mm-hmm. Right? We've done that before, right? Yeah. I mean, we don't – people want to have their say. That's totally fine with me. Like any sports talk, I mean, sometimes people aren't going to agree. Look at Jay Cutler.
It happens all the time.
I mean, every time I turn on the radio, there's somebody calling in saying Jay Cutler stinks, and they don't use the word stinks.
Yeah.
He stinks. And I'm like, I don't know what football game you're watching. The guy ran for his life until, last year. So, yeah, he's got happy feet. I mean, but, it's Cutler's this and Cutler's that. We don't talk like that on the show. We don't say,
about
that
dart
guy.
Players?
Yeah,
no.
He choked. He stunk. We don't talk like that.
Right.
I think we've gone out of our way to avoid talking like that about certain things. And I could think of numerous instances where,
we could have.
I've edited something I've said. I've gone out of my way. in favor of the players because I always thought that this show should be pro player, if not anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Every other sport,
That's why I
the
don't
conversation's always dominated either by the media or the league.
That's
You
why
know,
I don't
the players
understand.
never.
Where's the offense? Okay, you screwed
Hey,
up.
I don't know.
We screwed up between the UK and Germany, but what's
Well, it's what it is it's basically like, people either trying to read into something or thinking I'm being clever or, whatever it is. I mean, the tape's there. Listen to the tape and then,
right?
don't if you want to criticize me and you haven't heard the show, I'm not listening. You know what I mean? If you want to rip on me and your show stinks and do you listen to it? No. Well then,
yeah. I mean,
what are you really criticizing? Honestly, I mean it's it's just sort of like
that's just the
whatever,
way,
man.
That's the way the whole social media works anyway. People will sit there and, regardless of like any story that you read, MSN or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you look at the post below, and if it's like a good story, there's still people that have to post something negative. It's just it's the way
it's
it
a
works.
free country,
Right?
And people can post whatever they want. I'm
Absolutely.
just saying that our show's policy is that if you have something serious that you want us to address, you email us. You can email darttalk@gmail.com or email Sam the intern at internsareus.us, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not going to engage in like these ridiculous Facebook wars.
No,
that people
we'll let
are
the
doing.
other people
I mean,
on
it's
Facebook,
just sort of like,
they could go back and forth amongst themselves.
hey, entertain yourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sort of like everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Right.
Everybody can go start their own show too. You want to show up every Wednesday night? How's that working for you?
It's tiring at times.
Every Wednesday night at 8:00, you're here.
Yeah.
Right? What does that?
Right.
It's not like we feel like doing a show and then you know what? This
And
week
we'll
I don't
post it
feel
whenever,
like
yeah.
it. So yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's free. We don't charge anybody. Right? I mean, it's
I think
sort of
that- I
like,
think that's
hey, you don't want to listen.
I think that's the bottom line.
Obama's given a speech.
It's-
Can you believe that?
That Obama's giving a speech?
He waited to give his speech until we started our show. I mean, what is?
How dare him?
I mean,
That's what's cutting into our ratings?
I'm thinking. Anyway, where are we on time? Because we've got a lot to
we
get
got a
to.
few minutes.
Okay, that was my word on Facebook, but we got some other stuff to talk about. I want to talk about 3 important things that the ADO should do.
All right.
There's been a lot of people on Facebook. There's like Dartoid is like constantly on this ADO thing. I don't know why, but he's I respect him, and he's been around a long time, and it's a weird thing. I mean, I look at darts. I try to look at it a little more businesslike, right? Especially when you're talking about national organizations and this and that. It's like, well, you should run it like a business, and you should have a business-like approach, right? There are people that, look, I mean, the ADO is volunteers. Most of these local tournaments, they're all volunteers.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a certain sort of like, I don't want to say you cut them slack, but I mean, it's like you have to change your expectations, right? The PDC runs a professional tournament. Your local tournament, $5,000 tournament that's run by volunteers shouldn't run the same way the PDC runs.
I would agree with that.
If it does, please send me a text and tell me when you're holding it, and I'll show up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You lost the chat again.
I know.
Oh, I can't believe that. I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't know what the problem is with that. I think it's your problem. I don't.
I don't know.
No, seriously. I mean, because people seem to be able to chat. I think. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Anyway,
about that.
just, yeah.
So I want to talk about 3 things that the ADO should do.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a new bobblehead. Where is he?
Nice.
Oh,
Nice.
here we go.
Greg?
Well,
Greg over here?
Greg Maddox. And I'll tell you, the thing that I'll say about Greg Maddox is that if there was one pro athlete that would be a fantastic dart player, it would be Greg Maddox. I remember watching
Because
Bill
he was
Laimbeer
consistent, or
throw
because
and
he could...
his approach to pitching. And, pitching is a lot. Darts is kind of pitching, right?
Mm-hmm.
His approach to pitching and his meticulous way that he addressed his fundamentals, his competitiveness, his attention to detail, all of that goes into making, a good, a top-notch player.
Right.
Right? And, I don't know, I always liked him, even though he, bailed on us and went to Atlanta.
He didn't bail on you.
Well,
You weren't winning. He was good enough to win. He went to a winning team, and won he did.
I don't even know what to say. I'm just gonna let that go. You're just you hate the Cubs. I know you.
I
do.
don't hate the Cubs.
Yes, you do.
No.
You can admit it. You're a Sox fan.
I am a
get
Sox fan, but I do not hate the Cubs.
but you don't like
But
them.
there's some things that they've done in the past that make me root against them.
How's your fantasy team? Did I tell you I started first year I've done fantasy since the very first year they ever did fantasy? I have 4 teams, and I looked at them when I was done with these like snake drafts, 10-team, 12-team, and I'm like, these guys, this team is terrible. I'm going to get killed. I won all 4 of my openers.
Well,
And-
actually, I never like my team after I draft them.
Really?
Ever. Some years I've won, some years I haven't. I know. I always look at it and go, to get the next team I'm playing, I'm going, oh my God, they got him. I'm going to get killed.
I took
And
Sammy Watkins.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
No, there are people that are all over this. I went out and I talked to one guy. He's like, well, you never take a rookie wide receiver.
Right. I'm not a huge
I'm
fan
like-
of fantasy. I like it. It's enjoyable on Sundays, but I think there's just a lot of luck involved, and I get in this argument with people that no, there's not, because you can. And I'm not going to study it for a week to find out who to add, drop, and play. There's so much, but to me, there's a lot of luck involved because somebody gets hurt, somebody just has a bad day. It's just
okay. We're not going to turn this into a fantasy show,
No.
but there's no way on earth that you can tell me as a fantasy owner, you know how many carries this guy's going to get, or how many targets this guy's going to get, or who's going to get the ball inside the 5-yard line. When your left tackle's got a sprained ankle. I mean, there's no way on earth anybody knows this stuff. The coaches don't know this stuff. So there's no way.
And then some weeks, so you just happen to have.
I just had to brag that I won all 4
You happen
games
to have the guys
right out of the box.
in the Midwest that it's going to be snowing and raining all weekend. Where I got the guys on the East Coast or the West Coast, and
Orange Julius, my flex. Go get him, buddy. 28 points. And then the other guy's got Eddie Lacy, and he got nothing.
Right.
I have Seattle's defense too. On one.
That's good.
On one of them. On one team, I have it.
Could be.
Well, I don't know. Then the guy told me I drafted the defense too high, and I'm like, well, okay, whatever. Okay, so I want to get the 3 things that the ADO needs to do. That was something. I want to talk about. Can you read that?
Mm-hmm.
Singing in the Rain, beaten.
Yeah.
That was a joke because Sean Narain played in the European Championships.
Okay.
PDC event in. Now, tell me where this is. Where is Singlefingen?
Singlefingen.
Where
I
is
thought that was a typo.
No, that's not a typo.
Sing-
That's
What did we learn in Singlefingen?
well, for one, where is Singlefingen?
I-
And what are you
I'm-
restarting your computer?
Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding.
No,
What happened?
I couldn't get in the chat. I'm trying to restart it.
Well, how are we going to do the music now?
I got a couple minutes through the
Oh,
break.
so I have to vamp. Okay.
No, but you have to go through the break.
Okay, so we're going to take a break
Well, I'm
while
still
you're
thinking
rebooting.
Singlefingen, I don't know, is in Germany?
Will somebody in the chat room please Google Singlefingen and tell us what country it's in?
'cause I
It
can't.
better not be its own country. Because if they're adding countries, in
Is
the
this
middle of the
where
night,
the tournament
I need to
was
know.
in Singlefingen?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we should have got Sean there.
Look at that. My computer just started up.
Nice. Now we're going to get a copyright infringement letter from Microsoft that we use their music in the
They
live
can post
show.
it on Facebook.
Killing me. All right, we're going to take our first break while Mark reboots. You're listening to Dark Talk Mystery Mark Steve Pronunciamo. We're going to talk ADO, the top 3 things the ADO can do everyone a favor by implementing right after this. We got to get. Is your music ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's just get moving.
Yeah, we got a disclaimer.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, so we disclaimed everything. Dart Talk second quarter brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks. Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts. Unable to chat, huh?
It's not looking good.
Single hyphen will just be a mystery to us, apparently. I do not understand why you were having such a difficulty with that thing. It always works for me.
I don't know.
It's very
I
strange.
can't tell you why.
I don't know.
It's just I'm just gonna log off right now because it's not doing any good.
Okay, so apparently, if you want to chat, send me a text. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to read those during the show anyway. We'll have to address
read them at
that.
the break, but yeah.
So we
Yeah,
apologize.
it's only been going on for a month and a half. I don't know.
I just don't. It doesn't work the same way every 2 weeks. I do not understand what is going on with that machine where it just works so poorly all the time, and then worse and worse. I don't know what you could possibly be doing to break it. Got to be something.
What?
Why is your phone plugged into the thing?
So it can charge?
Okay. That wouldn't do it. I hope. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk some ADO.
All right, let's.
So 3 things the ADO can do. So they're having elections. They're going to elect.
That's what I had to get to.
Yeah, they're going to elect half the board. The way the ADO is structured is, half. They have 2-year terms where half the board runs 1 year and the other half runs the next year, right? So that way you can never replace the board all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen this structure before. It's actually Windy City Darters, the Chicago Dart League, is actually run the exact same way, right? If you want to replace the board, you can't do it. You can't get rid of them all at once. Even if, if that's what's required, it can't be done. Based on the bylaws, it's like,
But you think this is good?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's good at all. But this is what you have. I mean, the ADO's got a lot of problems. Unless the ADO wants to start all over.
Well, we've said that before.
Well, I mean, as far as trying to address the problems, there's 3 things that I've identified that I think can solve a lot of the ongoing issues that the ADO's been slogging through and dealing with as long as we've been doing the show. And from what I hear, these issues go back even further. So,
well, let's hear them.
Well, the first one is transparency. And I'm going to use it as an example. Now, they're working on, they've made improvements on transparency a little.
All right.
Like if you go to ADOdarts.com and you go through their website, you'll see that there are actually minutes from a board meeting.
Yeah.
Now, you read them. How edifying.
I didn't read the minutes. Oh, these minutes.
Those are the minutes.
Yeah.
Well, they call it a board report as opposed to actual minutes. But what did you think when you read that?
Well, I think it's very vague. I mean, it's just basically it's just a little bit of this is what happened and that would happen
and okay, it's good that they published it. I don't find it at all worthwhile. As far as like, oh yeah, great, okay. There's some news in there. They awarded 2 tournaments to 2 different places, right?
They just said they awarded it to him,
right? So the 20. Well, let's say what it is though. The 2015 Team National was awarded to who? Ghost on the Coast?
Ghost on the Coast.
And then the Masters National.
Against the Witch City Open and the Colorado Open, they all submitted bids.
Yeah, but it doesn't say what was in the bids or why they made the decision
but there was a motion and...
Doesn't say who voted where.
It was awarded to Right.
Doesn't say who voted where. I mean, in Congress, if there's a bill to raise taxes, you vote yay or nay, and everybody knows how you voted, and that's how politics in America works. Hey, you voted for this, so I'm voting you out and getting somebody else. Not that you could do that with the ADO, but I'm
Right.
just saying it's like they're all hiding. They understand that people want to know stuff, but they don't want to tell you. That's not transparency. That's the opposite of transparency. I applaud them for actually publishing the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get the minutes somewhere where they're useful. The other tournament was the Masters National. What was the other one that they awarded?
The Cleveland Extravaganza. Oh, yeah. The 2015 Masters National went to the Cleveland Extravaganza
Okay. And the Dallas
by a
Metroplex?
majority vote.
Okay.
So-
well, I'm glad it wasn't a minority
Right.
vote. Doesn't say how many people voted.
No.
It doesn't say
Well, I'm
what
assuming
the actual
it's
vote
just
was.
the board voted, right? So, however, but
You can
you,
assume
you
anything
don't even
want.
know if the whole board voted.
You don't know if there were
Yeah.
abstentions. You
Right.
don't know anything.
Yeah.
So you don't know. So now you don't know why they picked them.
Right.
Just kind of speculating. Geographically. Which city asking for a tournament where there's already one in Connecticut? That's one in Connecticut, one in Massachusetts for a national organization. Plus, you have Ghost on the Coast. That's everything east of the Appalachians. I mean, okay. Could see why they would pick Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas has had it before. I mean, Colorado's got it this year. I mean, fine. Whatever. Why'd you pick it? And what did these...
But are they supposed to go into detail in their minutes?
Why you don't have to go into excruciating 25-page detail, but
Right.
yeah, you could say it was awarded based on locale. It was awarded based on, and
Right.
here's where the ADO fails, and I think has been failing in a while. You see later in there that they're giving Buddy Bartoletta $500 to
Yes. Because of his hard-
as co-tournament director
Because of his
the
hard
Vegas
work, it
Open.
says.
Yeah, well, guess
Previous-
no one else works hard
Because
enough
it
to
says
get $500.
previous hard work.
This is where the ADO has everything backwards. Okay? What the ADO should be doing is saying, if you want to host this tournament, we want 10% of the entry fees our players will generate. So if we bring in 100 players and the overall entry fee for the weekend is $150, then we want, what's 10% of 150 times 100? $1,500.
$1,500.
Then we want $1,500
Right.
from you. I don't think a tournament would have a problem with that, and the ADO would be able to generate some revenue. Instead, the ADO's paying somebody to come fly in and draw up brackets.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? That's $500 is more than you make for a runner-up in the singles.
Yeah.
So I want to be Buddy Bartoletta. I'll make more money than I will playing.
Well, you should have been working like he
Well, I'm
has
just
for
saying,
years.
it's like it's all backwards. When if you look at any tournament you go to, if the people making the most money are the people running the tournament, I don't think that's a tournament you want to play.
No.
I really don't.
That's how the banks work in America.
Yeah, well, it's good for the banks.
Yeah.
Right? It's good for the banks.
Right.
But I'm just saying that that's not how tournaments should run.
Right.
I'm just saying, and here's your national organization, which instead of turning this into a moneymaker, are turning it into what? Why are you paying this guy to run this tournament? You can't get somebody local to draw brackets and look at the slips and go, okay, here's one, two,
And
three,
make sure
three,
they're all
four,
on their
four.
board.
Deal them. I mean, is it rocket science? They ought to have this computerized.
Well, no, it's only
but at any rate-
$500. It's
well,
not
look,
rocket
I mean,
science.
the ADO is going to fly in their entire board of directors and all their area managers to this tournament. Now, if you go to the Vegas Open, there's 10 people at Tournament Central. But we can't do it unless we have 11.
Speaking of the Vegas
It's
Open,
ridiculous.
Why does it say it was reconfirmed
Well,
that the 2015 National Cricket Championship
the
will be held?
implication is that no one else wanted it. Well, I don't believe that for a second. I think that
But if it was confirmed once, if it was reconfirmed, that means they already had said it. So it's probably in past minutes that they've awarded it to the Las Vegas Open.
Well, based on the fact that no one else bid on it, is what it looks like there. Because
Okay.
the other two tournaments, these are the tournaments that wanted it. But apparently no one wanted the... See, the Vegas Open is kind of a weird thing because the Vegas Open used to be run by somebody who's no longer there, and then the ADO kind of took it over. So it's like the ADO actually runs that tournament. Buddy Bartoletta's not part of the ADO. So why do you need somebody who's not part of the ADO and give them $500 to come run the tournament? You don't have anybody else?
Right.
Then you don't know what you're doing. Then you got the wrong 10 people wearing white shirts up there. Honestly. I mean, to run brackets, are you kidding me? So, I don't know. I found that, like, kind of odd. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But it seems to me that the tournament should be bidding. And if Tournament A bids, we'll give you 10% of the entry fees of the players you bring in, and another tournament says, well, we'll give you 12%, and we'll make sure there's a free shuttle from the airport, which tournament would you take? Right?
Well, yeah, you take the 12% with the free
Well,
shuttle.
yeah. I mean, if they had a bidding process like that, and, you know, look, I mean...
Or if you had 10% with a free shuttle versus 12%.
Whatever.
you
I
might-
mean, have
right.
something to go on.
Yeah.
What I asked... What's the criteria? Where's your form that, you know, a tournament would fill out to submit a bid? Well, we don't have a form. Tournaments just say whatever they want to say, and it's like, well, that's not a business. You have a request for proposal. If, you know, these... Oh, it's so frustrating. They want to have a bureaucracy. They want to say, okay, if you have a complaint, you go to the regional director, and the regional director is going to kick it up to the area manager, and if the area manager feels it's necessary, then the board will address it because we're this huge organization. Right? We're going to hide behind our bureaucracy. Well, then, where's the form I'm supposed to fill out so we can start going through all the red tape? Oh, well, we don't have one of those. Well, then you're just using this whole structure as a dodge. And when
Right.
people complain about transparency, then they have a legitimate beef. So here's how you're transparent. Here's our form. You want one of our tournaments? Here's what you fill out. And then when they do the minutes, they say, well, based on Form A, which is Attachment 1, and Form B, Attachment 2, where everybody can see what these tournaments bid, it's an open bidding process, then no one
Right.
can complain that it was rigged for this guy that everybody likes or this guy or, you know, whatever.
Sure.
That's what transparency is. Okay? This is it's nice that they,
It's a start.
it's a start.
Yeah.
And it's an improvement over what they're doing, but this is something they need to do. So when it comes to transparency, right, and, you know, I'm talking about the tournament awarding would make it so much easier for them to deal with people on social media and all this other stuff. Say, look, this is what we did. This is how we decided. You may not agree with our decision, but here's
This
our
is how
justification.
we arrived at it, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like everybody can say, well, yeah, you know, go ahead and complain. At least you know why they did what they did. That's all I'm asking. That's what transparency is. The other thing that I think that they should really do is restructure their entire ridiculous structure that they have. Well, look, it was designed to be like a fiefdom for one guy who's no longer there. Okay, it's time to get with the times. To have a president and a vice president and a communications director and everything is like, look, just have a chairman of the board, okay,
All right.
where the people on the board elect the chairman, and then have specific job assignments. You already have a CFO, and you already have a communications director, right? Where's your marketing officer? Where's the person in charge of marketing for the ADO?
Well, they don't have one.
Well, they need one. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying they need to
Yeah.
restructure.
Right.
So I think it'd be much easier for them. And if they have to change their bylaws, then change them. My God. What is the big deal? You know what the coolest thing I saw on TV was all weekend?
I do not.
Was I was watching Monday Night Football. It wasn't a great game.
The first one or the second?
Both.
Okay.
But when they were coming out of commercials, before they threw up the Monday Night Football logo, they had like a little time lapse. It only took like a second or two of all the old Monday Night Football logos going back to what? Cleveland in 71?
yeah.
Or
Right.
1970, whatever it was. And you looked at how the logo changed and how it got progressively better because, you know, technology gets better and stuff like
Right.
that. And I just thought that was marvelous. So I was thinking, okay, the ADO logo, how has it changed over the 30 years that the ADO's been there?
I would guess it hasn't.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Look at NBC.
They're not evolving.
Everybody evolves. Evolve or die is American business, right?
Yeah.
Look at NBC. Remember the peacock?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or NBC with first it was like the little interlocking kind of letters that looked kind of silly. Stuff like that. Has ABC changed much? Has
Oh, a little
CBS
bit.
changed? Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's like you have to evolve.
Yeah.
How do you create buzz if you don't change everything? If you don't change stuff. So I have, for the new marketing director of the ADO, I have a gift. Okay, I have an idea for the new
they don't
marketing
even have a
director.
Are they going to have one?
Yes, we're going
Okay.
to insist on it,
Oh,
and
all
I am
right,
going
all
to
right.
give them a running start
Here it
after
is.
this commercial. So we're a little gift to the ADO's new marketing director will be coming right after this. This will be a short break. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark and Steve Ponciano. We'll be right back.
Expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Hey, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts, Jeff Dodson, our musical director with the little bumper there, little musical interlude. So our gift to the new marketing director of the ADO is a nationwide campaign that I have I have named it Play Local.
All right.
You've seen all the shop local, like little things that people are doing. They do it like there's like some day around Christmas, like it's the first Monday after Thanksgiving. They do a shop local thing. They do it in Chicago. Play Local is a way for the ADO to start marketing to local leagues to get people to come and play local tournaments. Right? It's a way to institute a grassroots. Is that on? It's a way to institute. No, I didn't actually do it.
Oh.
It's a way to institute. Yeah, it's okay. It's a way to institute a grassroots campaign and to kind of give everybody a fresh start. Because to be honest with you, there's plenty of people don't know what the ADO is.
Oh,
Haven't the
absolutely.
slightest idea.
Right.
I played League last night. Did I tell you?
No, you did not.
Oh.
But I knew you were gonna play.
I did. I played League for the first time in
Well, we were talking about this last
3
week.
years or
yeah,
2.5 years or
so,
whatever it was. Yeah.
How'd you do?
And how'd I do? Yeah. I got intercepted by. I literally threw 6 warm-up darts, and somebody from the other team is like, "Oh, hey, Steve, how you doing? Let's go do a shot." And I'm like, "Okay, that's going to be my warm-up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play my best, but I played all right.
All right.
I played in the cricket singles, and that was kind of what I told myself. It's like, at least I'll get
Yeah,
some
that's what
cricket
you
in.
used to do.
Yeah, I used to play so much cricket in League,
Mhm.
and it's hard to practice cricket if all you're going to do is hit the board by yourself. So I did. I had one good leg. I played some guy, and I won the diddle. I threw like a 7 count, followed it with a white horse. My next start was a double bull, and I'm immediately like, ooh, 9-dart cricket game. Bang, missed the bull. Oh, man, I hate when I do that. No, but I played,
Nice.
I played okay. I mean, it's kind of weird. The lighting.
Did you guys win?
Yeah, we won.
Okay,
7-2, I think.
that's good.
But the weird thing is, it's one of these bars where it's like, and I don't know what people are thinking, but the boards are relatively well lit, but that's the only light in the room. So you're actually standing in the dark, throwing in
Yeah.
the light, and I'm like,
Gamblers
how
is
is
like
it?
that.
Well, that's what we play.
Oh, okay.
And I was gonna get a picture and use it
Yeah.
as a background. Maybe I'll do that next week. But I was like, it's too dark. I'm gonna
Yeah.
need a flash in
And
here.
Mullins on Western is like that.
That's where I started playing.
Yeah.
That was the first place I played. So
Right.
I thought that was how it was supposed to be until I actually went into Dye's Den where there's ambient light. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is much easier.
Exactly. Right.
Okay, if you want to make out with your girlfriend, great.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to play darts and the line's off. I told the owner of the dart bar, I'm like, by the way, your line's off, maybe about an inch. And she's like, no one's ever told me that. And I'm like, well, maybe nobody ever measured your boards.
Well, how'd they put them up?
I don't know.
With a blind eye?
They must have put them up and then measured the line from the base of the
Yeah,
wall
right.
or something because they
Instead of
didn't know
doing
any
the
better.
Well,
So there's this white stripe built into the carpeting that's off.
mhm.
So it started to mess with my head because I know it's off. But I'm not going to go in front of the line and then the other team's going to be like, well, you're over the line. I'm like, yeah, well, actually the line is off, but okay, fine,
Yeah.
back up.
Get a tape
So
measure.
I
I'll prove
start
it to you.
missing, and I'm immediately like, well, of course I'm going to miss because this line is off, right? And then I look like some total geek, ridiculous person, right? But to be honest with you, I've hung the boards at a couple of bars in Chicago, Q4ia, out in River Grove.
Yeah, yeah.
Those things, me and Eric Madlin spent 3 hours, and they have 4 boards that are absolutely dead spot on. And the boards at Murphy's,
Okay.
absolutely dead spot on. And there's even an Aki. So you have to, go play with the tape and stuff.
Right.
And it's like now my home bar is the boards are off. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Well, you think they'll correct it by next week?
No, I told her, I'm like, we're going to have to put some tape down because I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it shouldn't matter, but then it does. You know what I mean? It gets in your head. It got in my head because I had one leg where I just hit nothing.
Well, I
You know, I
agree.
bl-
it
and
shouldn't
I
matter,
started
but
thinking about
but
that,
yeah,
you
the
know.
minute you start missing, you're like, oh, the board's off.
And by the way, we got an interesting email from somebody who is kind of a new listener to the show and heard last week's show and just he's very complimentary of you.
Okay.
Said you had great hat.
Nice. Good for him.
And but he
That
said,
seems like the only compliment I ever get.
well, it's a wonderful hat, man. No, but
I thank Ryan Nelson for the hat. Not, Ryan Jewett. Sorry,
oh, okay. Shout
Ryan
out to
Nelson.
Ryan. Thank you,
Ryan Jewett.
I don't know who that is, but
No, you do not.
okay.
Actually, you've met him, but anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, it was an interesting email because what the guy was basically asking was for me to start saying how I became a great player, which, great player is
Practice.
kind of a relative term. Well, I found it kind of interesting because, and I responded to him. I'm like, look, I mean, we've done like 100 shows, and there are pieces of that conversation, scattered about. But I mean, guys used to tease me that this show was all about me talking about myself, which is like, I don't know what show you're listening to.
No, but I mean, I would answer. If I were to answer that question for you based on what we've talked on this show. My answer would be is you fell in love with the game immediately and you went home and you started playing and you started playing and you started playing and you just really enjoyed the game and you wanted to get better. And so it's the drive to get better is what made you a better player. From the minute you played in your first brass league, you fell in love with the game and your drive to get better is probably greater than a lot of people that just step up a lot of people drag somebody to the bar and say, okay, or meet somebody at the bar and say, okay, I want you to play in my league. We need a player. Those players don't fall in love with the game and the competition format like you did, and it immediately sent you into a drive to get better.
Yeah, okay.
Is how I would answer that to that guy because what we talk about is time on the board and what. Your drive was time on the board, and then you put a lot of time on the board, and then you moved up in the ranks really quickly because you probably put more time on the board than any nickel player did when you first became nickel, and therefore you got better than them.
Yeah, I would have to say I dropped every hobby I had, and all I wanted to do was play, and I played a lot.
Right.
And
not everybody can do that.
And I never really thought about anything technical. I never really analyzed. I wasn't like taping myself or any. Using like taking movies to see. I did that later.
I know. That's why you're worse.
To be honest with you, it might be all the monkeying around. What did I achieve by monkeying around with this and monkeying around with that when I was playing so well naturally?
Right.
And I think if you look at some of the guys that have very natural throws, I don't think they worry about that stuff at all.
Probably not.
I know Tom Sawyer posted something that he was trying to iron something out and he was going to start practicing. He's got one of the most natural deliveries of anybody. Ray Carver's kind of the same way. I mean, I don't think Ray stands around, trying to analyze, whether he should move his elbow a third of an inch or something.
Right.
I can't see that happening.
If he's getting enough extension or if he's getting...
Yeah, I mean, I think if you short-armed it, stuff like that. Or you kind of know if you yanked it, if you pulled it, if you threw a slider.
Yeah.
Like it stayed on your finger too long and you kind of like...
Right.
Stuff like that. I mean, and that comes from just like basic kind of general sports knowledge and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I don't know when I got so like wrapped up in all the other stuff. Some of it might have been with the show, but I think what happened was...
I don't know if it's with the show. I think my opinion would be it's when you get to that level of all of a sudden, if you start playing just a little poorly and get beat, your mind goes, all right, there's something I can do better. And so you look and when you're just throwing naturally and having a good time and things are going great, you don't think about it. But the minute things start going bad, I mean, it happens to baseball players and all kinds of, athletes. They start tweaking things because they want to, they think that there was something that somebody's doing something better than them. So that means they got to tweak something to do something a little better when that's not necessarily the case.
Up their steroid dose or something. Right. I mean, I know that like the better you get, the harder it is to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when you start going on the road and you start seeing like some of the best players and you're like, well, I want to beat that guy. I don't think that unless you've got like a serious fundamental flaw that's messing you up, I don't think really you need to do anything like that. I think it becomes more mental. Yeah.
It's not like a running sport where all of a sudden, you just don't have the stamina in tennis, so you jog, you run 80 miles a day.
You got to take the Charles Atlas course or something.
I mean, I mean, granted, I'm not saying there's still the stamina of darts, especially in long format, which you might have to get used to, but that wouldn't be tweaking anything other than going out there and making sure that you're throwing consecutive hours that it would take for that tournament.
Yeah.
But you're not tweaking anything, but that's I would agree though. That's the thing. It becomes more mental. It's even the top pros. Some of the really good guys can't hit doubles, but they can hit triple 20s till they die. You know what? There's a mental aspect there when all of a sudden they get to that out. That tweaking a little something in your throw isn't going to do any good.
Yeah, that was the one thing about Sean Narain, and Sean played pretty well in Singlehaven. I wrote it down because I can't.
Singlefingen.
Singlefingen? So is that in the county of Fingen? I
don't know.
It's in Europe somewhere. I'm almost sure. So if you're going to send an email saying it was actually in like the Middle East, then whatever. I don't care.
Well,
don't email me that because I'm just going to ignore it. But
we actually could stand to take a break before we get into Singlefingen.
Well, we got off the track of this play local thing. So
okay.
We're going to finish up on that. Yeah, we'll finish up on that when we come back because that was actually the most important point of the show.
Okay.
All right, so we'll take one more break. You listen to Dart Talk. Mystery Mark, Steve P. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Singlefingen is in Germany.
Yes.
Thank you, Google. So this play local thing, and we'll talk about Singlefingen because there was one interesting thing I got out of going through the PDC website and looking at Sean's results. But getting back to the play local thing, starting January 1st is when whatever the new people that are going in to the ADO take over. According to their minutes, Lorette Metis is not going to run again. Lorette's been in the ADO for decades, and so although I disagree
Are they forcing
with
her out?
I wouldn't know. To be honest, she's always been really nice to me, and as a person, she's always been great. I don't agree with practically anything the ADO's done over the years, but that's not personal.
Right.
There's a woman that's given her time over 20 years. What has she given, like 10,000 hours to the ADO? I think that deserves some recognition. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the board gave her a hand is kind of like seems they should, the 500 they gave to Buddy, they should have given to Lorette,
right.
But
yeah,
whatever. I mean, decisions like that, need an explanation if you're going to be transparent. And if you're going to get the confidence of the players. Now, the play local marketing campaign I have in mind would be pretty easy to implement. You do a lot of it through social media, and then a lot of it with direct contact with the tournament director, or whatever their staff is. If they, like some of the bigger tournaments, probably have somebody that's in charge of putting flyers up and stuff like that. but a way for people to understand what the ADO is all about. They should probably look at that mission statement. However, before they do that, there's one thing that needs to be addressed. And this, I don't know if this is part of transparency or part of their marketing campaign, but in those minutes, you saw how they were saying, okay, like the BDO ranked events are going to be these and that, and then
Yeah.
you know, the WDF is like, okay, it's the 4 national tournaments plus the Camellia Classic
six
and the
tournaments
Colorado
total,
Open.
right.
No explanation from the WDF why those are the ones that they want to count.
No, not in the minutes. No.
You know, I don't care about the WDF. I'm not asking. That organization is another story altogether, and I'm not sure that anybody should be affiliated with that. But let's just stick to the ADO for now. If the ADO wanted to be fully transparent, what they would do is issue a statement saying why that, you know, these BDO ranked events are not also PDC ranked events. Where let's say you play all these ranked events and you're second on the list. Well, first on the list should get the choice to go to the PDC or Lakeside, and then second on the list would get what's left.
Okay.
Why wouldn't that solve every single problem there is? And as far as that 365
Other
rule,
than the fact that the BDO and the PDC get
hey,
along.
look, I mean, they never put a vote to the players. They never said, hey, do you want us to affiliate with the BDO or the PDC? They never did that. And there are people on the board, I think, that are very anti-PDC. I think that's fairly evident. And I can think of a couple. Well, conversations I've had with these guys, and it goes back years and years. Oh, the PDC did this, PDC did that. I don't care about any of that. Right? It's like, what is best for the players today?
Mm-hmm.
What is best for the players today, and what would help the ADO? Because what if you look at the way the ADO is structured, the best thing for the ADO would be to say to tournaments, look, we can bring in more players, not just the nationals, but I'm saying, like, if there were 2 spots available and, you know, you wanted to whack at it and you're going to go run around to all these tournaments and try to chase points, why shouldn't you get credit for all the points that you chase? I mean, I'm not sure that I misspoke last week when I said that if Larry Butler had done better than Jim Widmeyer, he'd have gotten the Lakeside invitation. Apparently, that may or may not be true, depending on who I talk to.
Okay.
However, it's pretty clear that, like, that 365 rule.
But he wasn't going to get it anyway, then, you're saying?
I'm not sure.
Right. But
I'm not sure. But
right.
the point is that, you know, who had the most points? I thought Soldier had them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay that close attention to the points, but okay, fine. If Larry had the most points and you know, the BDO ripped them off, that's on the BDO.
Yeah.
Right? The ADO only takes responsibility insofar as they're associated with the BDO that just ripped off one of their players.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it that they're going to run around and ask tournaments, do you want to be a BDO ranked event, which means you got to play, like, you know, best of 5 from the first round on and stuff like that? Why don't they say, do you want to be a BDO and PDC ranked event? Why can't they do that? Or if that was going to be a deal breaker with the BDO and the PDC would be fine with it, then why not do that?
PDC
Why
event.
not just say,
Right.
okay, it's going to be a PDC
You're giving
event,
them,
and we're not going to send anybody to Lakeside.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah. Right.
Why? How did it get to be Lakeside instead of the PDC when the PDC pays way more money and is way more exposure? How did that happen? I would like an explanation. I would like an explanation why you have aligned yourself with the inferior organization.
Are aligned with the BDO, right? I mean,
the tournaments are just the tournaments.
Yeah,
and
so they
you know,
don't have to care.
The tournaments don't care, but insofar, here's what the ADO is going to sell you. Let's say you're a tournament director. I'm an ADO dude. ADO dude calls you up and says, hey, tournament director, you want to get more people in your tournament? Let us make it a BDO ranked event, and then your 501 singles, you start out best of 5 and make them a little longer, and you'll get more people. How about that?
Mm-hmm. And then I say, oh, well, that sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the tournament directors, and it's been going on for a couple of years now, and like, hey, it's progress that we at least get an American in Lakeside. I mean, 20 years ago, I think we had more.
But you're saying that they should be calling up the ADO.
I'm
should be
saying
calling up
the
and
ADO should be
this is-
defending the rights of the
right.
players.
But they should be calling up the tournament director and say, this is what I want. I would like you to do for your tournament.
Well, that's what they do. Well, when it comes
Right,
to BDO ranking,
but give them these options:
well,
BDO, PDC event.
I don't. I think it should be both.
Right.
I don't think the ADO should be joined at the hip with the BDO.
Mm-hmm.
When the PDC is the greatest darts organization on earth and has the best players and the best exposure. And if you want to like send our best player on a big stage, that's the stage to send them to. Do you want to have a drama club that goes to Broadway or one that goes off Broadway? That's a no-brainer.
Right.
Well, okay, my attitude is like send them both. So you tell the PDC and the BDO, look, we want you to take one of our top 2 players, and here's how we're going to do it. And if the BDO says, well, no, and the PDC says yes, then I would say, okay, then we'll just send one to the PDC, and when the BDO wakes up, you guys wake up.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. I don't think the PDC would say no.
I don't
really
think they
don't. I
would
think
either.
the PDC would be happy to take an American. Right? So then the problem is the BDO. Now, if it turns out that they both say no, 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 well, why are we choosing the BDO instead of the PDC? I mean, it's like, look, whatever allegiances people have, I don't know what they're based on. They're not based on the welfare of the player. There's no way you're going to convince me that going to Lakeside is more profitable and more exposure and is going to help you get sponsors more than the PDC. You got to be kidding me. You've got to literally be kidding me if that's going to be your argument. Then you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you don't know what their argument would be, but
Well, I'm speculating
Regardless of
because
what
I
they're-
don't see
yeah,
any
regardless of
rational
their
business
arguments,
reason
yeah.
to do it this way. Right? And anybody who's got a sponsor, I think they'd be delighted if you got on stage in a PDC thing.
well, yeah, I would think so too.
What, are you kidding me? So I don't know. I mean, that's something I would like to see. And if they're not going to do it, I want an explanation. I want to know why the ADO is affiliated with the BDO and in conjunction with the WDF and not the PDC. I understand that the past ADO president is now a higher up in the WDF. I just want to see it. Let's see somebody on the record say, okay, I'm doing it because he's my buddy or something. No pun intended.
Well,
And I'm
right,
not
right.
saying anything against, I've talked to Buddy. He seems like a nice guy. I'm just saying as a dart player and looking at the mess that everything is, this would be an easy way to sort it out. We're America. We're not Britain, right? There's no reason that we should have 2 separate qualifications where if you play in one, you're banned from the other. That's all they're doing. We don't have to do it that way.
True.
And if they're going
Right.
to insist on it, then I think one of them has to go. And I guarantee, based on everything I've seen from the PDC, there's no way on earth that they would say no to this. The interesting
All right.
thing would be, like, let's say Darren Young and Larry Butler finished 1 and 2. What would number 1 pick? That'd be a fascinating interview if it ever came to that.
Yeah, they would probably, the 2 of them would get together
Yeah.
and just go, all right, well.
I mean, it's this. You're playing in a singles event in Vegas. So why can't you get PDC points as well as BDO points? Who said that you couldn't?
Well, I would guess the ADO.
Well, why?
Right.
I want an explanation
Right.
of that. This goes under, I guess, transparency. But the whole
Well,
play
of course it
local
does.
thing,
Yeah.
play local thing is just a way for them to jumpstart a marketing effort.
Sure.
Based on like, I'll be happy to send you a couple of graphics that you can use. Just play local in big white letters with a black
yeah, because
background
we've been
and then
talking-
some tournament information on the bottom. I mean, it's not that hard.
We've been talking for years about how local play is so down.
A well-endowed woman in a T-shirt that says "Play Local." I'm pretty sure people get that. Go out and support your local tournaments is what the ADO should be like preaching to every single
Exactly.
league.
Right.
Because the healthier the local tournaments are, the
healthier
more
local
income.
tournament's
Well,
gonna
it's
be.
also the more revenue that they're going to get from
Yeah.
their little $2, ADO sanctioned events and
Right.
stuff. I mean, they're always crying for money. If I was a sponsor, before I would give them a dime, I would say, well, what are you doing with the money you have? There's all these things that you could do relatively cheaply that they're not doing. So then why should I take you seriously and give you more money to waste? See what I'm saying?
Because that seems to be protocol.
All right, let's talk about single fingen. What was it?
Single fingering.
Oh, yeah. Singlefingen apparently
Germany.
has a Mercedes assembly plant.
Yeah.
So I went through the and congrats to Sean for getting out of the first round. He got edged out by Steve Beaton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of sad. But 6'5". This tournament was basically looked like they had a stage, so it wasn't all floor play. But look at these averages; these are kind of below what you expect in a PDC event. And Terry Jenkins is under 90. Ricky Evans and Vince Vandervoort are at 87. Right? Sean averaged just under 89, and Steve Beaton averaged 93. So, 6'5", a double here or
There's
there.
only 200s on.
Took out a
100 pluses on
157.
there?
Yeah, I mean, but look at
Bunting.
Mervyn King won the whole thing, and the results are down in the crawl, guys, if you want to see everybody. But Mervyn King averaged like
90.
under 91.
Yeah.
Andrew Gilding under 90. Right? The Dolan Webster match was good. Ian White about 94. It just seems to be a lot lower than what you normally see, and I think that's attributable to shorter formats they're playing.
Oh, out there they are?
Yeah, because the shorter your format, the less likely you are to get in a rhythm and put up like really good numbers. So like on the Diddle Tour, best of 3, diddle every leg. I mean, geez, I think if you average 85, that's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
I've lost plenty of, I'm sitting on a double after 15 darts and lost the match. I mean, that's happened to me on the road a lot of times. But if I went second, that just means the guy threw an 18 darter. Your 18 beats my 16? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, 18 darts, what averages about an 83. So, I mean, if you look at these averages, I think I was talking to Jimmy Widmer. He's like, nobody in America is ever going to average 90. And I'm like, not playing diddle tour
eventually,
stuff.
yeah,
But
I mean-
I don't see why guys can't do that. If you look at the Players Challenge Series averages, there's a lot of guys in the 80s. Elliot Milk was at 95, and that's their first crack at it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
There's a lot of
I
guys
don't
averaged
understand why
above 79.
no American can average 90.
I think they can.
Of course.
I just think it's a matter of we
But
don't play this format.
Not on the best of 3.
Well, you maybe do it once, but will you do it again?
Right.
I mean, it's too choppy. You don't get in a playing rhythm when you play 2 legs and you sit for an hour. You play 2 legs, you sit for an hour. It's like, you want me to drive 7 hours for that? I wanted to go to Lake Erie too. That was a bummer. But next time. I have missed that tournament every year since the first year I went. It's sad. By the way, the Darts Live in Ontario is the first week in October. I hope a lot of people go to that. I think there may be some surprises. I think that there are a lot of really talented Canadians that may give some people a run for the money. Those are going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting brackets to see if the names that you normally see get through the way they normally do. That's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see who wins the Americas Tour this year. Where are we on time? Oh, we're over an hour.
Oh,
okay.
we're due.
We're going to try to get somebody on next week. I efforted somebody, but I think I offended them last week. I mean, honestly, if I call up my mom and I say I joined the CDC, I don't know what she's going to say. So, maybe you can talk your buddy into coming on next week and explaining how they came up with CDC.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Think you'll do it?
I doubt it.
Nice.
I don't know.
That's another thing with transparency. It's like, hey, you should be able to justify what you do. You should be able to explain to any 5-year-old, well, here's why we did it. At least have a reason.
Yeah.
If the reason is something like, I did it because I don't like that guy.
It's a reason. It's better
not a
than
business.
saying I'm not going to tell you, or
we're going to have to continue.
Doesn't matter.
And to be honest, there's been a lot of the ADO has improved some things this year. They're putting results up on the website in a timely manner. They got, Steve Brown took over as communications director, and he's trying to communicate with people. They're not ignoring social media anymore. That's a good thing. I'm just telling you, here's how you manage it. Here's how you can make everybody as happy as you could possibly make them. You're not going to make everybody happy. So you don't have to try.
No, absolutely.
Right? But if you do it this way, I think you'll be all right. If you say, here's why we're doing it, and if, I want the explanation on the BDO PDC. I want something on the record that this is why we're doing it this way. so the PDC can respond. And if there's something the PDC can do where it'll be like, well, we'll be happy to you know what I mean?
Yes,
It would solve a lot of problems.
Right.
The ADO could be a trendsetter here.
Mm-hmm.
The ADO could put a stop to this 365 rule and all this other nonsense, right? Let's see if they have the courage,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
To do it for the players.
Well, that's what it should be all about.
Yeah. Well,
So.
we'll see if they do it because they want player support and stuff like that. I
Right.
mean, yeah, do this.
Which they're losing
well,
year after year after year.
yeah. I mean, it's
So you gotta
pretty
get it
obvious.
back.
Yeah. So I've
Right.
given them some ways to help themselves.
Mhm.
We'll see if they do any of them. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening and downloaded the podcast. Visit us at darttalk.us. Email the show, darttalk@gmail.com, or Sam the Intern
Yes.
at Sam the Intern at internsareus.us. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. He's doing a good job.
Really? Aren't we blaming him for breaking the chat?
Well, yeah.
I will
You can't do everything perfect.
I will make every effort to get the chat fixed before next week, and I will send something out when I have something definitive on the chat. We really apologize for that. I know the live listeners like to chat, and we like to read it, so we apologize for that. Otherwise, thanks everybody again for listening, and we will Dart Talk to you next week. Everybody take care.